Welcome back. Here we are in the far east side of the dungeon, and we're about to enter another one of those large circular rooms. Similar to the one we tackled earlier, you want to kill the two shoe worms that are in this room using your claw shot. It shouldn't cause you too much problems, and then you can grab the goodies that they leave behind. As I said earlier, they often drop arrows, so you'll be able to fill up on your arrows that you may have used thus far. You'll see in this next passageway it doesn't actually have a door, but there are vines along the ceiling that you can use your claw shot to get to the other side, and you can actually move around along the ceiling using your analog stick. This is cool because later on we're actually going to have to do that a lot, so just bear that in mind for now. You don't really have to do it anytime soon otherwise, so just keep in mind you can do that. You want to drop down into this side of the room and then climb the vines off to your right. Because this dungeon is very symmetrical, this room is nearly identical to the one on the far west side of the dungeon that we tackled earlier, with a few differences. So once again, we're going to have to climb our way all the way up to the top of this area, and this time it's guarded by Helmasaurs rather than Tektites. You can defeat them if you wish, but they're easily avoided, and they pretty much stay pretty far back after you dodge them, because they go right past you. Unfortunately, this path is broken up in several parts of this area, and there are geysers that blast upward in some of the earlier ones, so perhaps that's why it's all shredded. Maybe the water is totally wearing it away. Anyways, you just want to wait for the geysers to stop blasting, and then you can use your claw shot to get across the gaps using the targets that are conveniently placed on the opposite side. This room isn't that hard, but it can be pretty annoying, especially if the Helmasaurs knock you off the ledges as soon as you get across, so just want to avoid them. Once you get up to the top, you'll find a small chest containing bombs. You can open it if you like, and then once again you want to climb up the nearby ladders that leads up to a platform where you can jump off and grab hold of the lever, which allows water to flow into this side of the dungeon. You want to hop down, and we can actually snag the treasure chest that is behind the new formed waterfall, so you can use your claw shot to latch onto the target that is behind the waterfall, and this will allow us access to a large chest that contains the compass. As always, the compass will tell us the locations of the remaining chests throughout this dungeon, so you can find all the ones you may have missed thus far. We still have yet to find the boss key, so that's important, but most of the other ones are just rupees and bombs and arrows and things like that. Now, I am getting all the treasure chests. This is a 100% walkthrough and everything, but there's actually another treasure chest that is pretty much identical to this one. It's on the complete opposite side of the dungeon, also in the large, room that we have to scale. You get it the exact same way you got this one, but it just contains something dumb, so I will not be getting it. It's completely out of our way, and we don't even get a good reward for it, so I will not be getting that one. Moving on, we want to head to the bottom of the room, avoiding the Helmasaurs, and fall into the water. Quickly swim over to the center of the room, avoiding the new enemies in here called Skullfish, which I will talk more about later. You want to jump to the lever, and this will raise the gate, allowing the water to flow out of this room and into the rest of the dungeon. This is very important, so don't forget this step. You want to use your claw shot to get back to the previous area of the room, and go through the left door this time. This will lead us to a new area that we have yet to be in. Once through here, you want to fall into the water and swim over to the opposite side. Now, one cool thing that's new about this game is that you can actually use the claw shot while swimming. You don't actually have to be underwater and using your iron boots like you did in previous Zelda titles. Now, if you use it on the Bari while they are electrically charged, then it'll harm you. But if you use it on them when they are not electrically charged, it won't electrocute you. You'll actually pull out their guts or whatever and defeat them instantaneously. So now we can defeat them. So that's pretty cool. Once again, you can defeat the shell blades easily by using a stab attack, which is holding forward on the analog stick and slashing with the Wiimote while you're Z-targeting. This will get past their initial defenses and allow you to get more sword slashes in and defeat them. So once that is out of the way, you can open the large chest if you like to get a red rupee, which is worth 20. You want to climb out of the water, and now that we're on this opposite side, you'll see that the water flowing out of this room is actually moving the water wheel and allowing us access to the southern portion of the room. You want to enter the door to the north, which leads to the center of the room, which you'll now see has its gears turning. We'll tackle this part here in just a moment. For now, you want to actually head off to the southwest corner, where you'll see there's another chest on your minimap. There's actually two Lizalfos in this room. They look slightly different from the previous ones we've seen thus far. This variety makes pig-like sounds and such, as opposed to the jaguar-ish sounds that the other kind makes that we've been defeating thus far. You can defeat them if you like, but I will be doing that here in just a moment. You want to enter the southwest door, as I said, and you'll find a small chest off to the left, which you can see on your minimap. Open it up to get a red rupee. Now you're probably getting pretty close to your limit on your rupees right now, because if you've been following this, then you've gotten all the rupees that we can get thus far. There are several chews in this area that will fall from the ceiling, and you can defeat them if you like. You want to continue working your way east, and you'll come to a lock gate, which can be opened using your claw shot on the target that is hanging from the ceiling. This makes a shortcut to get back to the central room, and we will actually head back there later. There's actually some more stuff we can do on this east side of the dungeon, so you want to work your way back to the center part of this room. you'll find those 2 Lizalfos that I was mentioning earlier, briefly. And these particular ones, this variety is a slightly harder. They have skull helmets, and they have blades that are attached to their tail, which they will occasionally swing at you. This makes them a little bit awkward to use moves like the backslice, because they will occasionally hurt you when you're trying to use that particular hidden skill. They're also still very vulnerable to your shield attack, however, so simply stun them using that, and you can slash them up to defeat them. Then you can finish them off with an ending blow, usually. So also a cool tip is when defeating a harder enemy, you can press the A button just afterwards, and Link will sheath his sword all fancy like he does after the bosses. Totally pointless, but it's a cool little touch, and it gives you something fun to try after defeating enemies. With that, you want to head to the northeast corner, and you can latch onto the vines in the corner by using your claw shot. You'll emerge back in this outer part of the room. You want to follow it counterclockwise, and you'll eventually come to a chest containing even more bombs, which are totally unnecessary. Does anyone even really need this many bombs? I mean, I suppose if people are constantly using bomb arrows on everything, it's necessary. But in general, like, you don't even blow up that many stuff in this dungeon, so it just seems like an overabundance of bombs. I suppose if you only have 1 bomb bag too, I mean, I have all 3 right now, if you've been following the walkthrough, but anyway, there are several chews that fall from the ceiling here, which you can kill if you like. The red ones actually restore 8 hearts if you put their jelly in a bottle, so if you are in need of a potion, that's actually a pretty good option right now. Now you'll find that if you go back to the center part of the room, we can't actually reach the vines far off to the side, so we'll have to go to the center room a different way, so as lame as that is. So continue back to the outer area, and I actually forgot to unlock this gate here on the right. There's a target on the other side on the ceiling that opens it up that you can shoot to, and it will unlock the gate. But I did not do that, so I'm going to have to use this geyser platform once again. So here I actually use a bomb arrow to kill both of the Tektites down below really quickly, because they were standing pretty close together. So I just exploded them both. Next, you want to go ahead and hop down, and you can use your claw shot to get to onto the next ledge and go on through the door. So once again, we've been through all this area and everything, but we're just trying to get to the southern portion of that room we were just in. So once we are there, we will be able to get to the center of that room. And so all this goes to say that we're going through all this, to get back to the center room, all because we got that one chest that has the bombs in it. Made all this awkward travel just because of that. So you can get that chest full of bombs if you want, but now that you know what it is, you can avoid it. So you can feel vindicating for getting all the chests in the side of the dungeon, though. Once you make it back to the center part of this room, then you want to jump off to the west side. This will be a huge shortcut. So if you look at your mini-map, you'll see that that is towards the center of the dungeon. You want to hop off these gears towards the direction of the center of the dungeon, and for a shortcut that leads towards this lower entrance to the lower east side. So you want to turn around, and now that the water is flowing in this side of the dungeon, the gears, and thus the platforms, are all spinning. There are several keys in this room, so I suggest actually using the Gale Boomerang to defeat them. You can use the Hero's Bow as well, but the Gale Boomerang is easier in my opinion because you can just lock onto them. You just move your cursor over them, and once the cursor changes, you can lock onto them. So I think it's really useful. You can use Z to lock on to them, and then you can bring them all to you. After that, you can just defeat them with your sword. And now we actually have to continue our way onto the next area. You'll see that the next gear does not have platforms on it. However, it does have targets on them. So you want to use your claw shot to lock onto one of them, and you can use it to move up and down, and then you'll see that there is a little platform before the next door. I recommend actually landing on this platform and then tackling any remaining keys that are in this room, because they, usually actually when I get to this part, this particular one just hates me and it comes after me, but it's not really harassing me this time. It kind of came after me here near the end. But anyways, you want to use your claw shot to get to the last part, and I was a little bit impatient, and I let go of it. I didn't really want to wait for the gear to turn all the way around, and now I'm paying for it, so I had to start with the whole room all over again. So, because I'm impatient, that was really lame, and I missed it. But I'm just going to leave this in the video because that whole section was a little quick, so maybe you just want to see again how to get to this area. From that top upper area, you want to go to the far west side, which leads back towards the center of the dungeon. And then from here you can actually get to the other gears, because now they're all spinning around. You'll see that the gears off to the side, you want to claw shot onto them. You'll see that I was actually aiming a little bit ahead of the target, so that by the time the claw shot got there, it grabbed onto it. So that is basically all the time I have for this video. You can join me for the next one. We'll get the boss key and head on to the boss door, tackling the final part of this dungeon. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys for the next video.